What? Here with the golf crew, Snyder, Bobby Gomes, Travis. Uncle T's got the night off. Lucky him. So PGA Tour Championship. This one is in Atlanta Eastlake Golf Course. Now, last week I'll take responsibility for my boy Louie kind of choking it up. I think he got in like 30-something place, but he didn't make top 20, so he kind of let me down. But overall, another relatively helpful show all around. As we move forward to this weekend, the last week of the golf season with the tour ship here. Sonny, you want to just talk briefly on the scoring differences or scoring coming in? Because this is a little different than the norm, and then maybe talk a little bit on the course.
Yeah, for sure. This week, based on how people finished throughout the year, Cantlay finished first in the standings, so he will start out at -10 coming into this week. Finau will be at -8, Bryson 7, Rahm 6, Cam Smith at 5, and then there'll be about 5 guys grouped at 4 under and so on down the leaderboard till they get down to the bottom guys. That will be at even. Yeah, but Eastlake is a par 70, 7,300 yards. It's going to play a little tougher than last week. It's not going to be that crazy birdie fest we saw last week. The scoring is usually right around that -11 to -15 range here. They'll see plenty of bunkers here. 4 holes have water in play. The rough will be about 2.5 inches long. There'll be 5 par 4s that range in that 450 to 500 range, and 3 of the 4 par 3s will be playing over 200 yards. Off the tee and around the green are 2 of the main stats I'll be looking at this week, as the top players have excelled in both those stats here over the past couple of years. And that's about it.
Cool. So this course is definitely going to play tough for anything that could leverage us as we slide into DFS. I also look at the pool here. This looks like a very small pool. That's is it the top 30? Am I get that right?
30, and the top 30 guys made this event, yeah. And they're going to be playing for $15 million up top, and then it'll go down. But it'll be, I think the top 8 guys will be making at least $1 million.
Got it. Now, relative to DFS, and Bobby, I'll slide to you with regard to some plays you like, but in terms of game theory as well, right? 30 total golfers, that changes things up a bit based on how, other tournaments typically are for, especially on like say DraftKings FanDuel, whatever. Any thoughts on how maybe you would approach this differently than others? If you would, at the end of the day, you need to pick the golfers that are at the top regardless. But from a game theory perspective, do you choose to be like underweight on certain heavy guys, knowing that the field is smaller and you basically get extra leverage there, or is it just same procedure as usual?
I'm going to be overweight on certain guys. I think I'm definitely considering locking at least one player this week, and then from there, I'd also consider really playing pretty much everyone, and not. I feel like that's terrible to say, but it's a 30-man field, and more like lowering my salary to where that's how I differentiate myself, kind of like the Masters.
Got it. Now with a field like this, because I feel like if you instead of especially if you're somebody multi-entering, and Mangone, I'm interested in your take here. Instead of picking golfers you think are good to win here or do well here, why not just start knocking guys off the list? Because if you can trim down what your group lineups look like if say you cut the field from 30 to 12, and you run all your lineups off of 12 different people, salary left over, irrelevant. Is that a strategy you're also looking for into this?
So I'll be fading guys, but I'm not taking significant stands like I did last week in terms of my fades, just because of how small the pool is. It's just a matter of basically just taking an overweight stand on a particular guy I think can win. His finishing position I think is weighed pretty heavily here. That's pretty much it. But yeah, I could definitely see knocking guys off you don't think have a chance. That just makes sense, right?
Yeah, definitely. Now, man, going DFS wise, who do you like here as far as your value core or maybe a top level guy that you're going to be targeting here?
Yeah, now typically what I do in this segment, JJ, is I list way too many golfers than you want, but I'm still going to ignore you, and I'm going to ask Snyder a question, actually. That's what I'm going to do. I typically do that later in the show, but I want to get this out of the way. DFS-wise, Snyder, the question I was having on this slate, I think you're going to want to build a lot of stars and scrubs kind of lineup. So, if you were building a team, how many guys above 10K would you slam into your lineup? Are you slamming 2? Are you slamming 3? Because there's such a gap between there's guys that are starting at -10 and there's guys that are at -2. Do you feel like you need to play at least 2 or 3 of the guys above 10K?
What I'm going to do this week is I'm going to mainly just play one, and that's going to be like John Rahm, and I'm going to get super overweight on him, might even lock him in. But then I want to move down to those other guys because we've seen guys like Xander started out at 8-9 last year, and he started at 2 under, 3 under, and he shot – what did he shoot last year? He shot 15 under last year and ended up finishing second in DraftKings points. I think it's all about DraftKings points this week. Those guys down the leaderboard are going to be playing way more aggressive, and we want to pile up those birdies and such. So the guys up top, they could be playing a little more cautious here because they don't want to give up that lead. They have that lead. They might be playing to win or win more so like Rory's another guy I'm going to be super heavyweight on because he's got great course history here. He can make a ton of birdies. And once he gets those streaks going, and he's going to have the footer on. I think he's going to have the footer on the pedal to the metal the whole way through. When some of these guys like Cantlay and Finau maybe play a little more cautiously to begin this event.
All right, that's perfect. So I kind of want to get your thoughts on that. JJ, now I'll talk about the golfers because I wanted to get his perspective on that. I will say one thing that you look at this field, it's absolutely loaded, right? I mean, there's so many different golfers that you can play. Snyder talked about only playing one guy at the top. I wonder if that's because his guy Morikawa was 8-3 while my guy Bryson is above 10K, Snyder.
I just looked at maybe playing Cantlay. I mean, Cantlay, his course history, more that I look into it, doesn't really line up as well here. So I think that's a fade. And Finau's just priced up a little too high, I think. I think Bryson was the absolute nuts last week. It was a terrible fade and whatnot. But I think this course plays much different this week. So I can see I think he's going to be really popular too this week after last week. So I can see the fade there. And I mean, Justin Thomas, I might have a slight little bit of because he does have really good course history here. And he's got to be so close. He just keeps fighting that putter week in and week out.
All right, well, I just want to get a jab at Snyder there. So happy to get that in there. That's all I wanted to do. That's one. If you're playing the drinking game at home, grab the drink. Let's take a drink. On to the next. Let's talk about some of the golfers I'm actually playing. I'm probably just slamming John Rahm in there because I think he's just going to get the job done. I think he's one of the best plays up top. If you give me one more guy up top, Dustin Johnson is one that I'm looking at that I think can make like a bit of a run, but I don't know. There's a lot of really good names down here for cheap, right? Like I think Daniel Berger is going to be one of the chalkier guys down here, but he's really cheap. And there are some narratives to talk about, like the Ryder Cup impress guys narrative, right? You need to push up there. Sammy Burns, like if he like top fives, he's making a case to be picked for the Ryder Cup. So I'd be interested to like kind of see how that all plays out with people building out their lineups and ownership. Corey Connors for 6.2K, right? He's a guy that can dart it. We talk about liking approach players here. He definitely makes some sense. Scotty Scheffler's only 6.8K. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go. I think it's a big week for ownership and just trying to find a bit of a different kind of construction. I think that's really the way to go. But I will say if I'm playing one guy at the top, it's John Rahm. I think he ends up taking this thing down. I think he ends up being the winner.
30 golfers, and Mangone found a way to mention about 25 of them that he likes this week in DFS. Bobby, that doesn't leave you a lot of wiggle room. But
I kind of like Mangone's strategy though, just because going 2 up top with the win equity makes I think a ton of sense for the format. That's why originally, like I said, I'm playing more guys. Well,
here we go, Bobby. Put Dunkel through a table real quick. Suck it, Dunkel.
Yeah, I think it's right. Like I think DJ looked better than he's kind of looked all year. So I didn't hate that take at all. Rahm, I'm locking. I locked Bryson last week. Unfortunately, I faded Cantlay and Rory, so it didn't work out the greatest. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely locking Rahm. I don't think that's a question. Snyder made a good point on Cantlay's like course history. It's not the greatest, just looking at it now. So, yeah, I don't know. I like the differentiated construction and getting 2 guys up top where I think a lot of people will kind of go for the middling bill and it's just going to be duped a million times in a 30-man field.
That makes sense. It makes sense. So more of a stars and scrubs type of thing on you guys, more or less? Consensus?
I think so. I like Answer a ton.
I like the guy at Absolute Stone Min, Eric Van Rooyen. I've been on him the last couple of weeks. He's coming off back-to-back top 7s. He's made 20 or more birdies in the last 4 events, I believe. So that's definitely what I'm looking for at the Absolute Min price. Helps me fit in more of that Rahm, Rory. I like Rahm, Rory, even Hovland, Scheffler. If I can fit all 4 of those guys in there with some birdie upside down low, I definitely like that approach.
Stars and scrubs. I mess with it. All right, let's start over to bets. Now, obviously, this makes it hard, right? Because it's a top-heavy tournament. Obviously, a lot of big names. We'll just keep it to who you think wins. Now, I know that it seems like we're all very heavy on Rahm. You guys are very heavy on Rahm, and his odds aren't that great. I mean, 3.3 to 1. DK maybe a little better on FanDuel, but overall about plus 330. Despite the low number, is the general consensus. So I guess I can start with you, Bobby. Who wins the tournament for you? It's hands down Rahm, because I know you said you were locking in Rahm.
If we're not considering Rahm, like I think you can take, like for me, I think you could take a shot on DJ. I just think he's been really strong in terms of like his play, and like from what we've seen recently relative to the whole season, it hasn't been the greatest year for DJ, but I don't know. He looked very good in terms of last week, and I like getting on the DJ train.
All right, so what do we got? What do we got? DJ 20 to 1. That makes sense, right? 20 to 1.
Yeah.
All right. And again, obviously, Rahm's the clear favorite. If you had to pick one person other than Rahm, and again, we assume again, I guess this question could be for you, Mangone. From a betting perspective, it matters who wins, of course, because that's who pays out these bets, obviously. But as far as like, do you consider Rahm at 3 to 1 or sub 3 to 1 to be better value than other people on this list? Or is Rahm still should this be like a coin flip and you're getting good value on Rahm at 3 to 1?
I don't know if I'd say that you're getting good value on him, but I do think he is the guy that ends up winning the event. I think if you're going deeper, you can't go too deep, right? Like if you I don't think you can go out to like these guys like Berger or even like Morikawa, like Hovland. I just think that's too far. I think you want to live in that like 20-ish range if you want to go further back. And I think like going Dustin Johnson, going Rory McIlroy, both those two options I think are the ones that I would look to go to. I lean DJ. It would be funny. It feels like DJ is like after last year, I mean, he was absolutely incredible, looked like the best golfer. And then out of nowhere, DJ kind of just, not that he fell apart, but he just hasn't looked as great this year. And he has started around the better form. And it just wouldn't shock me if like at the end of the year, we're like, okay, like DJ is the best golfer in the world again. Like surprise, surprise. So it seems like DJ is definitely starting to dial it up at the right time. And hey, if he can, get there here at the end, I think I want to be on it, right? I think this is really good odds. If I told you last year you get DJ 22 to 1 to win the whole thing, you probably would sign up to be in this position.
And just to confirm, Bobby, that you said you didn't say JT, right? You said DJ as well.
No, DJ. Yeah.
Yeah, I said DJ.
I'm similar to Bobby. We're pretty much in the arm in arm right now.
No, that's fine. I want to make sure I don't put. I accidentally typed JT. I want to make sure. Okay, so it's basically DJ. All right, and Snyder, outright shot, or do you think Rahm even at 3 to 1 holds value?
Yeah, I think Rahm might hold slight value, but I definitely do think he is the guy to win this week. He starts 4 back, but that's nothing for him, I think. But I'm looking at Rory down there. He's starting quite a ways back, but he has won this event twice. And then 2019, he started at 5 under par, shoots 13 under, ends up winning the event by 4 shots. And you can get him at 25 to 1 odds. And I think that's good, like some of the best value you can get if you're looking to just sprinkle a bet. And I wouldn't go too heavy this week just because it's more of like a gimmicky type event. But if you're looking for a guy with good value, I think that's the guy.
Okay, cool. I like it. We got a quick question from Seth here. Best bet to have the lowest score, not including starting strokes. Now, I will tell you this: without starting strokes, they got Rahm at 6 to 1, Xander 11 to 1. At least what I'm reading here. Rory 12 to 1, DJ 12 to 1, JT 14 to 1. Considering how heavy you guys are on Rahm, I'd assume if we're eliminating starting strokes, you guys like Rahm more or the most at 6 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also would like maybe to take a shot on Scotty Scheffler there at 20 to 1. Last year was his first time here, and he shot 12 under here. So he was right up there on the top of the leaderboard.
Huh. Okay, cool. Yeah, good stuff. We could slide over to. Do they do T20s for this event? Is that even a thing?
No, they don't.
I couldn't imagine.
They do some of those kind of like pod type builds where you can pick 2 or pick 3 guys. They got odds for that. Like if you wanted to bet the two favorites in Cantlay and Rahm, you can get that at plus 120. Or there's another pod that I kind of like. You can get Xander, Rory, and Morikawa at 8 to 1 odds, which you can get all three. All 3 of those have legitimate upside that I think could, if they get hot, make a push towards the win.
I see a bunch of interesting things to bet here. Overall, though, I guess we could start over the matchups then. From a matchup perspective, and Snyder, this time I'll start with you. Is there a matchup or a guy you're targeting? I know you said you've been heavy on Rory here. Is this more like you're cool to target Rory in any matchups that you see him against relative players?
Yeah, I was looking at him in one matchup. He was minus 110 against Sander, like that. But the matchup I like the most this week is John Rahm versus Patrick Cantlay. And that's listed at minus 110 on DraftKings right now. I think John Rahm should be much more of a favorite in that matchup. So I like that one the best.
Yeah, and if I remember one thing about Cantlay, he doesn't. I mean, I know he's been playing well recently, of course, but doesn't exactly seem to birdie hunt at these types of courses. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Right? It seems like at tough courses, he's like a par guy, and if he gets himself in any holes, seems to be difficult for him to get out of. But either way, Bobby, for matchups, anybody you like specifically?
I'm going to go Abe Answer plus 112 versus Cameron Smith. I even like Answer to win at 28-1. That's what was it? No strokes. What was that? The first bet we were doing. He was down at 28-1.
Who we're talking on? We're on
Abe Answer.
Answer. He's 25-1. Yeah.
25, yeah. I like Answer. I take him versus Cam Smith. In matchups plus 112.
Okay, perfect. I'll put that in here. And then Mangone, who do you like for matchups?
Yeah, so I pulled the matchups, and I definitely think the one that Bobby said was pretty good. But another one that I'm looking at, and I just lost it. I thought it was there it is. Harris English and Sam Burns. English has had one of the best approach plays over the past 12 to even 24 rounds. He's just been absolutely incredible. And if this is a course that could be really good for the second shot course and the approach play, man, this is up Harris English's alley. I mean, we saw him really start to really play amazing, and I think you kind of ride this out. So I like him in the matchup a lot. He's minus 120 against Sam Burns. And Sam Burns has been more of a volatile guy, right? He's got some Bryson-type vibes where, hey, you want to bet him more so to win in top 5, not as much in those head-to-heads. So, yeah, give me Harris English over Sam Burns.
All right, cool. That basically covers everything. Now we didn't have to go over matchups. We didn't necessarily have to go over long shots, so the show is shorter than normal. I guess we could start with final notes. Bobby, I know we briefly touched on this from a game theory, briefly perspective DFS, but any type of last notes you'd want to give on the DFS end for this tournament, maybe, and of course how the format's different than most other of the tournaments on DraftKings this week? Yeah,
for me right now, I'm leaving salary exponentially. Just for that reason. I also see a lot of people liking Rory, and then you have Answer 9,600 where Rory's at 9,300. I don't mind when people take Rory. I'm just going to go Answer, I think, for the majority. I don't know, maybe play Rory at the field or something. Yeah, that's pretty much it. No real takes outside of that. Rahm's the lock. A lock button for me. Yeah, I'll slide it over to Mangone.
Cool. Yeah. Mangone, last notes here. This is usually where you seem to shine for one reason or another.
Yeah. Well, Bobby, he just spoiled the event. It's going to be John Rahm to win. He spoiled Game of Thrones for JJ and gave us the ending before the show. So Bobby out here spoiling everything. John Rahm be the winner of this event. He spoiled Game of Thrones while JJ's got 8 episodes left. So that's what happens here on the show. And no huge spoilers, but I'm going to tell you this. We got Uncle T, we got Big T in 35 minutes on the DFS side. They'll be doing a show for you guys, talking some golf, talk some PGA, and they'll be doing it with somebody else too. I'm not going to spoil who it is, a new guy. He's been on one premium show, so be sure to check that out. Head on over to Run Pure Sports and watch the show. They'll be talking winners, and it should be a good time. And JJ, 2 thumbs up. For the people.
Yeah, I mean, I want to do that, man, but you're skipping Snyder completely. Like we're going over last notes, and your end is done, and you're like, "Yep, show's over. Congrats."
I need to make sure it's in there. I don't know if we're going to miss it. I mean, again, Bobby spoiled Game of Thrones, so I know you're in shambles right now.
Snyder, do you have any kind of final notes on this course, and of course how it is a little different than the norm?
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm not going to be doing too much this week, kind of more for fun. And I'll be looking to try and cut this field in half for DFS wise. I'll be looking to play maybe 15 to 18 of these guys and just get super overweight on 5 to 6 guys, I think, and just try and hit the right combo with those guys. And more so just having fun this week. And as we got a lot coming forward, we got college football, We got NFL, we got baseball, we got everything else going. No reason to blow your brains out with this type of gimmicky event.
Couldn't agree more. And I want to get your guys' take on one more thing. As some of you may or may not know, I will be facing off against Joey Work at a random bowling alley in a few days. Joey Work's a practical professional bowler. I'm getting 60 pins. Anybody have any levels of faith in me, or everybody's just like Joey Work for the house?
I got you, JJ. I'll take the dog.
I think you can beat him, JJ. Dog or pass for me.
JJ, my question is, what is your fit going in? Like, what are you wearing? Like, I mean, I got to know if you're wearing good or bad gear. So what's the plan here?
That's definitely.
So I'm wearing a shirt that says "Never underestimate."
How many gold chains?
Yeah, it's true.
These chains don't come off, so you'll see these at the bowling alley. They don't come off.
All right, I'm excited. Well, I mean, I will say this: I'm not putting my money on you, but I'll be rooting for you, right? Like, I'll be sitting there rooting. If Joey Work is like, slide in, man, go, you're rooting for JJ. No, Joey, I don't want to slide in. I want to root the underdog on. It's like a nice March Madness story. So let's go, JJ.
Yeah, I just need him to not get like multiple 3 strikes in a row to alleviate, to kind of just continue to take off 30 potential pins off his top number, and then make a few spares, and I should be at least competitive. But either way, it will be fun. Thanks as always, folks, for watching. Be sure to like the video, subscribe if you are not. As Mangone likes to say, thumbs up, or as the new thing with the Mets, right? Thumbs down. But overall, thanks as always for watching. We'll be back next week with another golf show, and as Snyder and even Mangone hinted at, there's a fun DFS show starting in about 30 minutes on the Run Pure Sports end of things. Private video, right, Mangone, or is it public?
No, that thing's going to be free, it looks like. So,
So yeah, head over to Run Pure Sports YouTube. Again, spelled just how it sounds, Run Pure Sports YouTube. And you'll be able to watch that video as well. We'll have content all over for this weekend between college football content. I'll have a pick for you guys tomorrow night in college football. Joey will be back tonight with more baseball. And then, of course, check out Run Pure Sports End as well for a lot more DFS content in all sports all day long. But again, as always, folks, be sure to gamble responsibly, stay safe, and as always, run pure.